worms. So worms is something I've added into my garden. I had the red wigglers and European night crawlers. I know a lot of people use the African night crawlers as well. But talk to us about incorporating worms into the garden.
This goes back with our whole theme, right? There's mulch. We talked about seed teas because of enzymes and that natural process. Worms don't just walk up to food and start eating it. What they do is they rub up next to it. They have a mucous membrane that exudes these enzymes that are in response to the material that it's next to. So if you make a worm bin and you fill it full of maybe phosphorus-rich material, you'll be getting more phosphatase enzyme to break that down. Once the enzyme does its job, the worm can then absorb through its gut that material that's all bacteria broken down in sludge now. And then it can improve and utilize it for its own life, and what comes out is actually usually better than what started. And so the worms have unbelievable benefits. Now, I will put the caveat that they are an invader of the United States. Our forests were built by fungi, and the worms came, I believe, down from Canada. I could be getting this all wrong. But when they're now in the forest layer, they eat that mulch too quickly. And that's no good for the trees because they're relying on it for banks of years of nutrition, and the worms can just devour it. So it's great for us that are growing fast-growing annual plants because we want that nutrition on tap. And the worms are phenomenal. In our vegetable greenhouse, when my wife just produces these rows of tall tomatoes, all that's under there is some craft blend and some nutrients, and the worms, they go pull it down and they bring it into the soil and make it available to the plants. It's like this engine that produces this constant nutrient supply. And it's faster than just waiting for it to decompose. So worms are great. We used to recommend the worms, the red ones, and the night crawlers. I tend to lately just prefer the red wigglers. Night crawlers are fine. Our thought process was the red wigglers stay up top. The night crawlers go everywhere. But now I kind of I just like them in the top. I don't turn it all into a worm bin. The red wigglers stay more where the food is. And it seems to work really, really well. But I'd imagine all of them are fine. If you go dig around your property in clay soil, you'll find earthworms that aren't a composting type of worm, and those may not be of the same benefit because they're more for compaction and things. They're not really going to break down material as fast. But I think the thing to take away is that they're part of that enzymatic puzzle. They create enzymes. They help break down that organic matter that lives in the mulch layer, and that turns into plant food. The last question we get is how many, right? That's the next question. How many do I have? My recommendation is that we want to put less than you need, let the worms multiply to homeostasis where they're happy in that size soil container you have. But if you do the reverse and you say, well, if 5 are good or 100 are good, I'll put a whole pound I just bought online in my one container. And partially because you're like, what do I do with the rest of the worms if I don't use the whole pound? Well, start a worm bin, and then you have a perpetual source. But if you put a pound of worms, which is 1,000 red wigglers on average, into a small container of soil, you're going to turn that into worm castings so fast, the worms are going to overpopulate, start ditching and climbing out, dying. And so I'd rather not start with too many and have them die into what's balanced. I'd rather start with even 2, 10, 20, 50, a handful, and let them multiply to what's perfect for your soil.
This clip is brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrow at 15 to save on any of their products.